5-star James. I don't care what stars they give you. You're a 5-star. You've been a 5-star. Which is much part there. Listen, man, University of Miami fans want to know one thing. Does University of Miami have a chance to get James Williams?
Definitely, they do have a chance.
Welcome to South Florida. Yeah. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida.
When you on the field, is it pregame? Like, is it ever? Are you ever afraid? Does you ever feel fear, or do you ever feel pressure?
Nervous.
You ever feel pressure?
Not one bit.
None of that.
Nah.
Who's been your tough defender? Like, who's guarded you the tough?
Yeah, who's the toughest person you played?
I don't see nobody.
I knew this.
Nobody.
He was gonna give it the damn hood.
Hold up. I just witnessed some Saturday. Something I never seen before. I'm gonna let y'all see some sights and sounds from my view Saturday. I'll let y'all see some sights and sounds from my view Saturday. Hold up. We're gonna cut that short real fast. I'm gonna let y'all witness some sights and sounds from my view Saturday, what I got to see at Texas A&M. Here we go. Listen, turn your speakers down. Turn your speaker down. You know what I'm saying? Because it's loud. So turn it down. No, it's lit, dog. Now hold up. Now hold up. This is the raw footage. You know what I'm saying? I ain't edited or nothing. I'm giving it to you raw. I just want you to feel. I just want you to be in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And feel what I feel in these moments. And I want you to see the crowd. And we're gonna pan around a little bit. So just experience raw footage, though. It's raw footage. So yeah, it ain't bad recording. No, it's just the raw footage. I ain't edited. I just gave it to you raw. Check it out. Raw. Really raw. Check it out. One more time. I just wanted y'all to, not sure if y'all can hear that. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted y'all to experience that though. I'll pipe it in here with sound in a minute. I just want y'all to be there with me and experience, because a lot of y'all assisted help me getting there. So listen, man, look at the thing pop up. 786-405-9499, 786-405-9499. If you want to get down with the IOD squad, 786-405-9499. For the people who don't know what IOD Squad is where we trade. Yeah, we talk about football in here, but we like trade. We trade every day, you know what I'm saying, with IOD Squad. Because I came to the conclusion that we could run, jump fast enough. I realized that we were putting so much focus into sports and football and these things of these natures that some kids were making it to the promised land and have zero financial skills. As parents, can't pass anything on to your kids, not even a goddamn life insurance, because you have zero financial skills. We don't like to talk about money. So I said, hey, man, listen, man, I'm going to talk about money, the uncomfortable situation. We got Steve Kim in the back. We got my boy Rich in the back. We about to get into breaking news. Jacolby George out, looks like 6 to 8. Saying broken hand, broken thumb, trying to get to the bottom of that, but it looks like it's going to be a long time. Asked Mario today about Don Chaney. Say 6 to 8. I don't know if he was going back the last week or two. I think it was 6 to 8 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? We're gonna get a little bit to this Middle Tennessee game. Can it be a trap game? So much emphasis put in on this Texas A&M stuff. Can it be a trap game? Let me see. Shout out to the members, man. Listen, if you're watching it and you can't comment, the football villains are the ones who can comment. We do that every now and then. Been doing it a lot often. If you want to become a member, hit join, or you just hit join. It's right there. YouTube say, hey, listen, you want to comment, you got to join. The button is right there. I think it's like half off. YouTube pay for half off the first month, like $2. But only the football villains can comment. The people with badges, them the ones that can comment. I'm gonna bring my boy Kim and Rich in this thing. What's good?
Yo, what's going on, Street?
What's going on? I don't know if they could hear. They could hear. You can hear the sound on your end, but I'll pipe it in a second and let them hear with the sound. Sound like my camera's about to buzz, bro. I don't know, Kim. I don't know what the biggest atmosphere you've been in. Rich, you was in Clemson. Your veins pump tiger blood or something. But that watching the what are those soldiers? JROTC. What are those guys? Are they Navy? Are they Army? What are they?
Well, at Clemson, they were JROTC. So we kind of had, similar setup with guys that'll just stand there like that on occasion.
Right, because I was in the Marines and I don't remember anybody with tight suit on giving us signals and stuff. I don't remember that guy when I was in the Marines. So I was trying to figure out what they were. You know what I'm saying? Watching the stadium. Go ahead.
I was just gonna mention that's the thing about college football. The traditions are different all across the country, man. And you go to a place like A&M where it's just, it's nothing out there really, and you're just getting the taste of their culture. That's what they about.
Right. What you call it, a taste of their culture?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, different people, bro. Different. I can't even explain it. 102,000 people in there. They're not hostile people. It's not like being in Miami and saying, fuck you. And it's not like that. But they're loud. They're definitely loud, and they're definitely in sync, and they're definitely as one.
Right.
But they're not hostile. You'll get Susie in the front row with a sundress on and some cowboy boots, and they're just there to support the culture and what they've created. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
It kind of remind me just like a different tribe. Like they're a different tribe. They own something different over there.
I told you, man, when I went to Clemson, it was like that. I was like, this is just way different. I remember telling my friend, he's a big FSU fan, and we went to the game together, and I told him, I said, look, it's going to be a lot of people out there, but if you don't have a beer in your hand, and it was a afternoon game, so we got there in the morning. So if you don't have a beer in your hand, if you're not eating on anything, as we walk by the tailgates, they will stop you and offer. They'll give you beer, liquor, whatever you need, right? And but they will say, well, you go Clemson, y'all gonna lose today, but they will still treat you with Southern hospitality. I also told them, when you meet the local folks, they don't call it Clemson, they call it Clumpson. I said, hey, it is what it is. It's Clumpson. Just roll with it.
They call it
And
Clemson.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Why?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's a twang thing, but that's what they called it.
Kim, what's going on, bro?
Oh, like Ed Reed, I'm hurt, dog. I'm hurt.
Well, hold on. Before we get into
dominate.
it, Kim, before we get into it, though, listen, you was at the fight the other night, right? Triple G.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that fight was so boring. Every time I looked up from my laptop, I was like, no one was throwing punches. I mean, it's funny because as I'm looking at Twitter during the undercard and I'm seeing some of your footage and other people, I really said to myself, I need to be in College Station. As someone who's been at a lot of Miami road games, I mean, I've been at Ohio State, I've been at Oklahoma, I've been to Arizona State, Boston College, Tennessee. I've been to some bowl games. I went to the LSU game a couple. I've even gone to Temple when there was like 2,000 people in Philadelphia. And I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't miss much of a fight, but I'm definitely coming in for the Carolina game, and I might go to the Georgia Tech game. It was a great atmosphere, but I'm hurt, dog. We didn't dominate. We did not dominate. That was a game that was to be won. That was a game that was there to be won.
Who won the fight?
Canelo won. Lackluster decision. I wrote about it. It was the final chapter of what was a great rivalry, but one guy didn't want to do much and the other guy was happy for it. So basically, if it was a football game, it was Miami against Texas A&M. There wasn't a lot of scoring. So it was what it was. But I did watch most of the game. That ESPN app, especially if you get it through your cable provider, it's unbelievable because that other game, I think it was LSU against Mississippi State, they had to switch that over. I watched the whole game on my app right from press row.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't miss a single snap.
How are you able to watch? Because you got to report on the fight. How are you able to watch the fight and watch the game at the same time effectively?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Most of my focus was in on the Miami game. We all have priorities in life. Like I said, one's my business, the other's my passion. But, there's breaks in the action. They take some time in between fights and, game goes to commercial, stuff of that nature. I was able to watch most of the first half before the fighters really got into the ring, the main event guys. And I'm not going to lie to you, the fight was boring. There was not a lot that happened. So, we're going to see how Miami bounces back. I'm actually interested to see how they approach this game against Middle Tennessee State. But, that atmosphere looked unbelievable. You could feel the energy through the screen. even on my computer.
Kim. Listen, Kim, I felt, it felt like this is Texas A&M hallway that they come out of. Those are I don't know, the dancing girls or the flags. I'm not sure. Pretty hot. But this whole hallway is just like, hey man, we got an extra 50,000. Y'all want to spend it on something? Everything, dog, looks like that. I get there and the stadium is empty, and you see it's tailgating and stuff. And bro, it doesn't look like 102,000 people are about to walk into that stadium. It just doesn't look like that. And once it gets going, I get on the field and they're warming up. I'm looking at Texas A&M, and I'm trying to post to the group me, the football villains. Texas A&M looks really, really loose. Miami and Cristobal doing warm up. They don't talk to anybody. They're straight. Cristobal's walk around with the thuggo looking on his face. Texas A&M kids was talking to the crowd, dapping up their homeboy. What do you got to say to your homeboy before you finna play a big time football? I don't even know. Like I don't know, dog. I don't even. Hey man, tell them to be at the house by 11:30. This gonna be. I don't know what you got to say, but they were very loose and it looked undisciplined to me. Oddly to say, the guys who were doing it was 6. It was 0, and it was the cornerback with the dreads. They just like they were kind of on their own thing, and I was like, listen, I think we got a chance tonight, bro. These guys may be a little undisciplined, or maybe a little loose, like X had been saying, that he had been hearing. The game starts, they go right down, they get 3. Holy crap. We come right back, we get 3. They go 3 and out, Kim. Rich. And I'm here to tell you this, dog. I've never, ever pinpointed one play in a football game. When my little homie Tyreek drops that punt and it gets them 7, the 7 that basically wins the game, that took the momentum. Because I thought we had an edge when that game started. That gave them that 100,000, that crowd. That gave that sorry offense. It gave them all hope, dog. Mm-hmm. It really did. Not the fact that he dropped it, but the fact that they got to get in and get 7, and then they get only 17 points. For anybody who thinks Jimbo is this genius and he was stalling and he knew, bro, listen, their offense couldn't do a thing. They had 6, they had 0, and those were men. 6 and 0 were straight up ballers. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
The commentator, they mentioned that. They were like, before that muff punt, a crowd of 107,000 people, how many people it was, they were not in the game. They were like, they was expecting to kind of come out and lose to Miami in a sense.
No,
they weren't really yelling like that.
Because they went down and got 3, we came back and got 3, and then they went 3 and out, straight up, right. 3 and out. And I just felt it. I was like, oh, listen, we about to go get 7.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, Tyreek Stevenson is not a good punt returner. But if you're not going to be a good punt returner, you have to be able to catch the ball. And this is a very simple rule. You better have enough guts to go up there and catch it on the fly, or if you don't, and that has to be treated like a hand grenade. Get away from it. I don't get it. And now with Jacolby George's injury, I'm just wondering if we're stuck with Tyreek. That play right there, I get it. It's only one play. But I just had that sinking feeling in a game where neither team may score 20 points. You gift wrap that type of field position in a low-scoring game, it's an absolute killer.
We got Kyle Branch in here. Kyle Branch, KB, what's up, bro? No, listen, but I'll tell you this. Y'all, I'm on record. I advocate for Tyreek Stevenson being the punt returner. I like him because he takes chances. He'll field the punt, right? He takes chance. He tries to make a play, and I like him. I mean, I do. That was a horrible decision, but I like him because he takes chances. Because we all watched Restrepo them call fair catch 2 years ago, the whole entire season, and that right there was like watching paint dry. But it bit us. KB, what's up, bro? Nope, KB was in here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
to him.
but can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
What would you rather have? Paint dry or graffiti all over your front wall? I'd rather have paint dry.
Listen,
that was graffiti, bro.
You know what my
I'm
problem
like,
is?
come on.
I've seen Tyreek return numerous kickoffs and punts in high school, and I know that I just know he's a special. He's the elite 5-star talent. You know what I'm saying? It's in there. But that right there, but oh my God. But that point put the meter back in the middle, and it gave an offense. Listen, I'm gonna say it again. Anybody who thinks Jimbo he was just stalling us out, running, bro. Listen, that offense couldn't do a thing. It couldn't do a thing. 6 and 0 just were men, and every time they got them the ball, they were breaking tackles and they were men. It's weird, Kim. Rich, I can't say our offense was worse because it wasn't.
It really wasn't, and we got to remember too. Part of our offense is also banged up. I mean, Rooster was kind of banged up. Chaney is still out. We see how many receivers we now have. I mean, come October, November, I'd say November, we offensively we might have more firepower than we did last night. But A&M really didn't do anything special on offense. So we kind of I can't even explain it. Of course, we all knew number 6 was going to be an issue, but we contained them for the most part.
Look, there's an issue that no one wants to talk about, though. TVD does not look comfortable. We could dance around the issue, but I thought our offensive line played a really good game, both pass pro and run blocking. I thought he had a lot of clean pockets, and there's something going on. And here's the reality of this offense. They're going to have to fix the red zone because it's not like they're going to get a lot of explosive plays the way this current offense is constructed, unless our running backs can break more tackles. But until they get more explosive guys on the outside, and maybe an Isaiah Horton can step up now, because I think he's going to be forced into duty, and maybe out of desperation, Frank Latson just has to play. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to recruit better, more athletic players on the perimeter, because this is going to be because that's not necessarily a TVD problem. But I will say this: there were several throws at TVD, especially that deep crossing route when they cleared out for Redding. If that's on the numbers, that's a 60-yard gain. You got to hit that pass. There's no excuse for that one.
I agree. And, a lot of people, because this has been an ongoing debate, I got to tell you, some folks are like, it's the receiver's fault because they had 7 drop passes. Some folks are like, no, it's TVD. He didn't look comfortable. And I would say it's a combination of both. But here's what I would like to see from TVD, or here's what I would say is where I give him blame. When you get into the red zone, I'm sorry, but the first round draft picks, it don't matter what your offensive coordinator calls. It doesn't matter what your head coach calls. You take the game into your hands. So you either improvise, you run, you get out of the pocket, you do something that people are like, man, this guy is special. He's different. And I think that TVD, while he's a great passer, he still has to develop that moxie, if you will, when it comes to playing sandlot. Like, what do we like about Lamar Jackson so much? It's sandlot football to him. He's going to make something happen. You always feel like you're in a game with that type of caliber of quarterback. Not saying TVD is Lamar Jackson by any stretch, but I am saying that that's what the good ones do.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it.
Well, Rich, let's be fair. TVD is not Lamar Jackson, so please. And I actually think Gaddis called a pretty good game. No more quarterback runs. I don't care if it's a read option. I don't care if it's a bootleg. Again, it's easy to second guess, and I'm not the guy that is coaching. But I do know this. I would not have TVD against that defense run the ball against a compressed field inside the 10. He's just not that type of guy. I don't understand this, Rich. I thought Thad Franklin was built for short yardage and goal line situations, and then second half being the hammer. He got 1 carry for 1 yard. Again, I'm not the coaching staff. I don't know what's going on in the background, but I kept waiting for Thad Franklin to play a role. He never did.
Never did. And that goes on the coaching. So that goes on the play calling, because if even after the muff punt, had we put a Thad Franklin in there and we wore down their defense and we basically held onto the ball as long as we wanted to with the Thad Franklin, I believe we score. I believe we do get that illustrious touchdown that we just for some reason could not get, because we would have had the ball for longer. It's the same thing that App State did the week before, and they proved to us that we can actually do the same thing, but we didn't. So that's on the coaching. I don't know what the coaches were seeing or what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to do a little bit too much in the passing game. When you pass the ball 41 times and you're only down by 8 points, I mean, you start to question, like, what the hell are you doing? It's middle of the second quarter and everything is a throw. Against a team who will not get you off the field on third. They're not one of those teams where you're threatened that they're going to contain you or it's going to be a 3 and out. They're not that good.
There were a couple drives. We're inside the red zone. I'm thinking, okay, let's just keep hammering them, and we didn't. And there's a couple plays that stand out. We had a bubble screen to Rashard Smith. Yep. Our 2 receivers on the outside just got absolutely mugged. Mello and Latson. You know what? That's the type of play, Rich. If I'm the wide receiver coach, which is Gaddis, I replay that thing 50 times in front of the team. I'm being dead serious. And they did do that. I'd rewind it and say, hey, guys, are you team players or not? Do you have the guts to do this? If not, let me know. Because that play was set up for about a 12 to 15-yard gain, and that would have got us inside the 5. And our wide receivers the last 10 years have been getting bullied outside on the bubble game for years against good teams. The other play, Tyler Van Dyke kind of gets flushed out of the pocket. He has Keyshawn Smith. A good throw is a touchdown. That was another miss. And another thing I question. Another question is, why isn't Arroyo targeted more? He had that one wheel route that took it inside the 25, and I'm thinking, okay, this is the game he breaks out. It never happened. There's just so many questions. It's so frustrating because I actually think we played a good game. I think defensively, we're only going to get better, especially as we work out the linebacker rotation with some of the younger guys and Corey Flagg playing another strong game. I'm really hopeful of the defense because that front line with the depth and different type of size and bodies and pass rushers, it's going to be a really good unit. But, boy, I hope we don't waste this defense.
Yeah, we look phenomenal. Even Ivy. I mean, Ivy, Flagg, guys that have come under a lot of scrutiny. With Kane fans, both of those guys look fantastic. And, it's just one of those things where, one year we have an explosive offense and no defense, and next year we have a shutdown defense, and our offense seems to just crap the bed. I would say this though. The 2 things that I also took away from this game is, one, I feel like Kane fans going into the game, I would say even going into the season, we said if we're competitive against A&M, but we lose, that'll be okay. But where we're left in limbo right now is that we dominated A&M statistically in every phase of the game. We just did not execute. So now we're left questioning, was it really a good game? Did we
Right. Rich, you know what I loved about Cristobal, and this is about raising the standards and changing the culture. I wish I had the tweet with me, but he basically said at the post-game press conference, it's not good enough just to give effort. Results
Right.
matter. There are no moral victories at Miami. If Miami is going to be a school of moral victories, I'm out. Sorry. That's not a big time program. We are not Wake Forest. No disrespect to them. We the day we start counting moral victories in the Mario Cristobal era, as Mario Cristobal's biggest fan and advocate, I'd want him out of there. I'm glad he set the tone. Said, nope, not good enough, because it wasn't.
Exactly.
That game was there to be won. We had more yards, more first down, more time of possession. But we got to clean up that red zone offense, but we've got to find an explosive playmaker. And it's really a shame that Jacolby George is going to be out for a while. You know, now there's a lot of Twitter chatter over do we move a guy like a Malik Curtis? Do we try out a guy like Chris Graves who's got a lot of speed? I'm not so sure you can really develop a wide receiver in the last week of September. I'm realistic about this. It's not like PlayStation. But, you know, this particular issue of not having an explosive playmaker that could threaten a defense over the top, it can only be fixed in the offseason, guys, through recruiting in the transfer portal. That's the reality.
And that's the other.
KB. You said what's up to KB? KB in here. KB, you here?
Yo.
You on mute, KB. Just say something when you.
Yeah, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
KB here. What you about to say now, Rich? Go ahead.
I was going to mention that the other dilemma that Canes fans is having is, okay, we know that we got these problems with quarterback not really feeling comfortable, wide receivers not catching the ball, but how do we adjust this going into next Saturday? Because we got a whole season left to play, and I think that's the other question or the other thing that's leaving fans in limbo. Like, what type of Canes team are we going to see the next 9 to 10 weeks?
Methodical. That's what it's going to be. And I've said this, and I wrote this in my OBB Legends blog, and I've brought it up in some message boards. I've had some time. This game against Middle Tennessee, it might be a trap game, but this is a schedule. We played Middle Tennessee by in a very high-scoring UNC squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the next couple of weeks, starting with this week's practice in the game, as Coach Hayes would say, bring it out. There's no such thing as hiding your offense. Bring out your offense, because to actually be good at your offense, you got to practice and run your offense during a game at game speed against live bullets. So my view is this. We know we can run the ball. We know we can move people. The run game is good. We're good at this. If we do that against that type of front, I know what we can do against the ACC and moving forward. Let's try to get this pass game worked out. I would make this a complete throw game. Obviously, winning's important, but let's find a couple of receivers that we can rely on the outside. Let's get Tyler Van Dyke back in sync. I think that's the goal this week.
Get them back in sync. They gotta get them in sync. Kind of reminds me of his first two games when he first came in with Lashley. I think he just needs to get comfortable with the offense. I mean, Des Gaddis talked about it today. He said, "What? We got 6 guys that are playing." He said that are playing. We're playing 6 guys, is what he said. Not that we had 6 wide receivers. I think the young kid, he looked really good in before he started getting in trouble or whatever he did. From Tennessee, the young kid looked good in practice. Horton. And Romelo's on the field. He's just not getting the ball thrown this way. It's time, bro. It's an opportunity for those guys to step up. This Middle Tennessee game, it seems like some of these smaller teams are getting in these games, and they got some of these older college players, transfer portal players on their team, and they're finding a way to play with some of these bigger schools. Middle Tennessee go 4 wide receiver. They wide open.
Yeah, we've seen that with a lot of whether it be HBCUs as well as lower division schools, where you're right, they got some transfer portal guys that are from Power 5, and they're hanging with Power 5 schools.
I'm just glad we're not playing Old Dominion. They're giving ACC teams hell this year, fellas. Jeez.
Old Dominion.
Shoot.
KB, what's going on, bro? KB, you jumped in here for a reason. You don't jump in here often, bro.
Nah, man, I'm kind of in a bad spot, so I'm trying not to mess up the show. So I'm trying to be on mute and jump
All right,
in
well
when I can.
let us know when you're ready.
All right,
But
no, we
now
can go
middle
ahead. We can go
Tennessee,
ahead.
what
Let's go.
I know KB is my offensive aficionado. I've got on the phone with him plenty of nights and listened to him just go in on Lashley. And I know you were delighted at the run game that we have now, right? So we could run the ball. Let's not act like that's
Yeah.
not an aspect of football. So we could run the ball and control the ball. TVD just has to get comfortable and be able to take advantage of like the world pass. The world pass was beautiful. We just need more of that when he get comfortable. I thought, dog, listen, I said it. I thought TVD would be the reason that we could beat them because they're trying to figure out who their quarterback is. Their offense pedestrian. The defense was decent. I thought TVD would be our deciding factor. I said it to you guys before. Before I said it to you last week. Listen, I think TVD, he has to stand up, yada yada yada. And we almost had 400 yards of offense, but no, he wasn't the deciding factor. KB, talk to me, bro.
Nah, you said everything right. That's the way I feel. I gotta pose a question to everybody, which is kind of baffling. There's got to be answers in the question. So if you look at TVD and what he did last year, everything around him has improved. You know what I mean? He's got a defense that give him the ball back. He's got an O line that can stand in the paint and run block. The only thing that's missing from last year is Rambo Harley, which he didn't have a great senior season. He had a good junior season. And I guess you can include Restrepo. How does he get so inefficient so fast? Not saying that he is, but just the product that we're seeing. How do we get back down so fast with just missing? Don't get me wrong. Rambo was unguardable one-on-one. You could not guard him one-on-one. But still, I keep pointing this out. For 3 years, we've seen K5 get behind defenses and get pass interferences. We haven't seen that yet. We ain't seen them 9 routes. We haven't seen a lot of those deep balls and things like that he excelled at. So my question is, what's the issue? Like, what really changed? Like, is the offense going to pigeonhole him that bad? You said Rhett Lashley?
Look, that system with the spread, and it's a true spread where you're looking at one read most of the time, or it's a quick read. Look, he really got into it, and there's a lot of air raid concepts with Lashley's background. I think that is an issue, and this is not an indictment on Gaddis because it does take time. But I'm just telling you, I noticed this in the Southern Miss game, and I spoke about it. It looks like, to me, TBD is really looking at one read and sticking to that read.
Exactly.
It just, and he's also, even on the throws, he's throwing late, guys. That interception against Southern Miss, that ball was thrown late by a beat.
Late and soft. He's throwing late and soft.
And look, even his completions on Saturday night, I noticed this. He was almost like lobbing the ball, like he lost confidence. And I'm like, bro, you got to rip that ball, get the ball quickly so our guys can have some yak. We didn't have a lot of yak because the balls were almost like knuckleballs from like Phil Negro, as I show my age, that reference. But, just saying. Just my view.
You're spot on because I was watching Nicosi Perry play in FAU's offense, and the one thing that I saw was Nicosi was very comfortable and he was ripping everything, even like 7-yard passes. He is throwing darts to his guys. I mean, he's just very in command of that offense, and he knows it. And it's his second year being in that offense, so I get that part too.
Rich.
But when I look at TVD, I think that in my opinion, when Gaddis came in and I would see his formations and I would see, both tight ends running routes, I'd see 2 receivers running routes, somebody coming out of the backfield. I feel like for TVD, there's just too much going on. And in some cases, the decision like knowing why you should dump it off to the flat versus why you should hit the tight end who's running a specific play. The why behind what he needs to do, he doesn't grasp it yet, and that's why he's not grasping multiple receivers and looking off those guys and so on and so forth. So
Rich, another play call that left me shaking my head, and I'm watching the game at ringside. So I think we're inside the red zone, and we throw this pass where I think it was Romello Brinson. It was almost like a lateral, and I think he ran like the orbit motion, and it almost looked like it was going to be a double pass. I'm thinking, oh, this is interesting, and it was just like a deep screen. I'm thinking, Romello is not that quick, twitchy type of guy that you want to run that play to. He's a long-legged strider. You got to have like a guy that can accelerate really quickly and have some wiggle. It's not Romello Brinson's game. It isn't.
Right.
That's the type of play I would think was more for a Restrepo or a Brashard Smith.
Right.
So, look, there are certain calls I will question, but I think overall, if we catch the ball better and throw the ball better, I think we're not having this like deep-seated conversation on Gaddis. I think we got to give this thing time to grow a little bit.
Well, Kyle, listen, Kyle, you said how did he get down so fast? It seems to me, now I'm no quarterback whisperer or nothing like that, but it seems to me TVD, like Rambo got a lot of targets.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of targets. Restrepo started getting a lot of targets this year. It seemed as if, I'm not going to say he's not reading the field, but it seemed as if his confidence goes to that guy that he trusts, and he'll live or die with him. He ain't throwing nobody open. If your ass ain't got to step on that, TVD is not throwing the ball.
Nope.
Every now and then, the brilliance of that royal pass, every now and then that peeks in. You know what I'm saying? But he ain't throwing anybody open.
Streeter, here's the fact. Some of his 50-50 balls have such poor placement. They're actually 30-70 passes. They're not even 50-50. No, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But where did that come from? Because it wasn't like that last year. Like even his 50-50 balls where you getting these pass interference, they're there. You just the defender had nothing to do but get a pass interference call. And all of that stuff, it seems like it's gone. But one thing that you mentioned, when you were mentioning that play they did to Romello, I kind of started like the one thing we're going to say about Gaddis is he did try to adjust. He made adjustments, and I'm proud of that because I haven't seen people making adjustments around here in a long time. But he started going, he started running some plays that were sideline, like that play to Jacolby. It was a nice play because Jacolby made it, but I was kind of like, where did that call come from? Because if the DBs get off the block and they tackle him, if he don't split those guys, you're scratching your head like, what kind of play call is that? Why are we doing that? Because they're not. Usually you do that to slow down someone's pass rush. But TVD was clean. So I don't know what he saw to start going to those type of plays. But it's like, to me, it seems like it's such a reluctance to go downfield that I don't really understand.
Well, when he did go downfield to Jacolby, going back to what Steve Kim mentioned, the ball placement was terrible. It's quarterback 101. You see a guy that's streaking downfield and he's on the far hash that's towards the sideline. You throw in between the sideline and your guy, and he threw right in between his guy and the safety, and it was almost a pick. So I don't know if he just hadn't gotten enough work with certain receivers because they were second stringers. But the one thing I did see in the small sample size that we saw when Jake Garcia got in the game for Southern Miss, and I'm not advocating for Jake Garcia to start. That's not up to me. That's up to Gaddis and Mario. Jake Garcia is just fundamentally more of a point guard. He's a point guard passer. He doesn't care what your name is on the back of your jersey. He don't care what your number is. He knows where his reads are supposed to be, and he throws it to those spots because when he sees that there's separation or he sees that those spots are open, and he doesn't hesitate to do it. Right. So TVD has to have that point guard mentality when he's throwing the ball. You can't sit there and say, man, I don't want to throw an interception. I haven't been throwing with this guy. He's not my number one guy. You can't think that, because if you think it's going to take you 2 seconds longer to throw, and you're going to have those picks, you're going to create those picks because you're not playing football. You're playing football with your mind. You're not playing it with your heart at that point.
Guys, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I don't think we'll ever be Baylor with Art Briles, but do you want to see a little bit more tempo in our offense? We are molasses slow.
Yeah, there was no real tempo. I mean, KB talked about that. Yeah, there was no real tempo, and now we can't say, "Hey, listen, they holding back." They had to be our offense. Dick was in the dirt, back was against the wall. They had to be our offense. So, and there. In the fourth quarter, he started like KB said. He switched it up, and we saw that Gaddis could be more than one thing. He could be two things, three things. And they started doing some little with the tight ends and some little shorter passes with the tight ends. People have film on TVD.
Yep.
It's hard to, when you're the front runner and everybody's gunning at you, it's much harder to perform when everybody's saying, "Hey, that's the guy." I don't like his demeanor, bro. Like I don't. Sometimes he looks flustered to me, and being on that field, on that sideline, the wide receivers were getting frustrated. Now, you guys are going to say, "But they was the ones dropping the ball." We're not in a huddle with them. We don't know what they see in the huddle. They were getting frustrated, dog. Because I'm not watching TV. It ain't 8 cameras panning away. If I'm looking at Keyshawn Smith when he tries to go out for a 9 route and the ball is overthrown, I'm still looking at Keyshawn Smith.
Yep.
My camera don't change.
Right.
There was some frustration out there, and I'm not sure where it was coming. I'm not sure where it was coming from, but I saw a little frustration out the wide receivers, especially Keyshawn, and especially Redding at times.
That Redding deep crosser streeter, I don't know if you've seen the game yet, but that was a beautiful clear out. If that ball's put on him, and look, Redding's not exactly a sprinter, but there was still about 35, 40 yards where he could have stretched his legs and ran down the sideline. That has to be put on him. But I'm just telling you, against Middle Tennessee State, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat myself. That's what I do. We know we can run the ball. We're good at it. We know we can move people. Let's work on the throw game. And I don't care if we're down to our last 2 receivers. I don't care if it's Brian Monroe coming up as a punter. I joked about it today. I was DMing him today. I said, "Brian, you would have played on this team as a receiver, but let's see what Isaiah Horton can do. Let's see what Colby Young can do." Because quite frankly, we don't have any other options.
We may get a little Jaleel Skinner.
Hey, Jaleel looks like a wide receiver while Colby Young looks like a tight end. It's the damnedest thing, guys.
We may get a little Jaleel Skinner.
It can't, but it can't. It can't be a room full of 9, 10 receivers and none of them can get right. You know what I'm saying? It just can't be that way. Like that doesn't add up to me. So when you're saying the receivers are getting frustrated, there's something behind that. As a receiver, you don't have to be wide open, but you got to give me the ball from time to time. So I think there might just be a lack of opportunity, like you guys are pointing out. Like if you're not 2 or 3 steps ahead of the man, TVD probably not throwing you the ball. You know, maybe that's how it's going. And maybe these guys, you know, need more opportunities, need more 50-50 balls, need more shots. So it's a combination of things. I can't just sit there and write that receiver room off. It's a bunch of things going on. And I think you guys pointed to it earlier, and I had been saying it before. We had 2 preseason games, and we wasted them just trying to be a dominant run team. You wasted it. You didn't get your passing game into any kind of rhythm. So TVD doesn't know who's willing to go up and get the ball, who needs to get it low, who needs to get this. It practices. You can only practice is practice. That's not a game. It's different. So you spent two preseason games where you shouldn't be getting the passing game in sync, and you didn't. I don't know. I don't get that part.
What the holding out the
vanilla
Not
offense.
showing everything.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
I don't like that shit. I don't like that. And I don't like
Listen,
giving the
man.
coach that excuse either. I don't like it.
Cost Kane, shout out to Cost Kane with the $10. TVD was waiting 3 minutes for a wide receiver to get open. That's crazy. Listen, shout out to that offensive line, boy. They've gotten that thing together real fast. So listen, if you're just getting in here, bro, and you can't comment, it's because only the football villains are in here. They could comment. Those are the people who are joining part of the group. Maybe 230 people that are members. If you want to become a member, man, it's like $4.99 a month. You just click the link right there, and you get to be a part of the group me. Get to be a part of privy to some of the information. I was trying to talk to him during the game, but it was 100,000 weird people with boots on. And this was too much. I couldn't text unless I went to the media room. So if you want to join and become, it's right there. And hit the like button for me. We got 300 people, 200 people in here, only like 60 likes. So listen, I was trying to let y'all experience what I experienced. I got some raw footage I'm going to let y'all see. We take a break right here. I'll let y'all see some of this raw footage that I shot. It's not edited, just raw footage. I just want you to hear the pressure or hear what it felt like in that stadium. Let's see. And let you experience with me what I experienced. Because I can't lie. It was, other than that, Florida State, when Jacolby Harris beat Florida State, this was the coolest atmosphere I've been around. So here we go. Oh, that's 3 levels. That's 3 levels of, if you're just getting in here, when they say hostile environment, they're not hostile people. You walk around, they give you a beer, they give you a hot dog, and even in the game, they're not hostile people. They're not. It's not like being in Miami. It's not like you feel your life is threatened. That's not the vibe. But they're definitely in sync. They're definitely in sync, and they're definitely loud. But yeah, it's not violence. It doesn't feel like, yeah, somebody's going to jump on you or something crazy like that.
But Streeter, that's most college towns, though. Like
Really?
I told you, I've been to Norman, Oklahoma. Rich, I actually went to the Clemson 3 overtime game in 2005. That's before Clemson was actually just building that one end zone.
Yeah, they were just building it.
Right. It's the one from across the field from Howard's Rock, the big hill. If you watch that 2005 game, there was actually construction going on. And I can honestly tell you, in every college town that I've been to, Lincoln, Nebraska, I went there in 2014, the college towns are incredibly nice to people. They really are. I've never actually had any issues. Tallahassee's a little bit different because it's a little bit
different.
That one's not that nice. I'll be honest with you. I've seen fights break out, and nobody can fight except the Miami fans could actually throw punches a little bit better. I will say that. But
True.
you know, a lot of these fans were saying, "Oh, we don't want to be there when the light." You look, they don't act like Raider fans. This, I'm sorry, it's just like those trips are actually a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of fans, you get to meet a lot of the players' parents, you get to know the people. I've had a great time. Even like I went to Houston when we played at the Texans Stadium. And then that was, I think Art Briles was the head coach back then. And if you really want to get to know the players and their parents and their family members, go to road games. You'll have a great time getting to know the people behind the scenes. And so it didn't surprise me. A&M has been, next time we actually go there, if we ever go there again, I'm going to make it a point to try to actually make that trip.
It was okay. Here's another clip. I definitely, it was an experience. I mean, I'm glad I got to witness it.
Something playing?
You on mute, Street?
No, I'm pulling up the clip now. I just want to experience what I experienced for a second. I had put up the same clip twice. Shout out to your boy C. T just became a member. Let's see.
Hey, Rich. I get the sense, and KB, I get the sense our game on Saturday is not going to have the same atmosphere. Hard Rock.
Nah, not quite.
Oh
Yeah,
man, why you had to
I'm
say
slightly
that?
agree.
After
I'll
seeing
slightly
that,
agree.
why you had to say that? Damn,
You know why?
I didn't even think about
you know
that.
what? Look, I live 3,000 miles away. I'm going to give myself a pass. I am sick and tired. I mean, as Michael Irvin would said, I am sick and red of our fans going up on Twitter saying, hey, I got 6 tickets, but I'm not going to go to the game. Who wants them? What other? We must lead the nation in fans giving away tickets. It's sick. It's sickening. Look, and I live 3,000 miles away, but I'm making it a point to at least go to a game a month. I'm going to go in for this UNC game because I think that's a must-win ACC game, and we haven't beat them in 3 years. We can't. Our fans have got to do a better job of actually showing up to games. I'm going to say this again. We are not asking you to go to 81 games like for the Marlins because I'm fine. I'm looking at those crowds at the Marlins games. Nobody's going to any games. We're not asking you to go to 41 Heat games. You can't go to 6 Miami games. We wait all year for football season. I don't get it.
Well, you know, we've mentioned this before. Part of it is you got to understand so University of Miami is slowly matriculating towards what they need to be. And what they have to understand is you're a private school, so you don't have a large alumni base. I went to grad school at Penn State. They have one of the biggest alumni bases in the country, right? So you won't have a lot of folks that's coming back for your games that are alumni. Then you don't have a large student base. Ohio State has like how many kids? Like 30, 40,000 undergraduate kids, something like that. UCF is the biggest in the United States, I think. I don't know if they still are. They have like 50, 60,000 students enrolled on that campus. We don't have that. I mean, Clemson has like 20, 25,000, and that's like, and every single one of them show up to the games. That's first and foremost. But I would say that we probably don't have half of that. So a lot of where those fans are going to come from that put their butts in the seats are going to be those Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County folks who you cater to and you make it worth their while to go to a game. Yes, part of it is winning, but another part is marketing. Another part is getting out in the community. So we talked about that ad nauseum on Footballville on this show right here, Morning Breath Show. Just like you mentioned, Kim, you wanted to do the nonprofit. That way we can get some of those youth players to go to games. All of these are community involvement based things, and that's where the majority of that fan base is going to come from, because Miami has over 1 million people in its city.
Right. So here we go. I'm queued up. Second quarter. This is my raw footage now. I didn't edit anything. This is some raw footage.
You on mute?
I think you're muted, Street. Kind of like a red zone offense. There you go.
Not got a lot of leg in that one. No, bro. I just want y'all to. And I got a couple plays when they got really loud on when the offense was out there. I put them up in a second. Being down there on that field, looking up at I don't know how many levels it was, 3, 4. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know how many levels it was. I know it was surreal. I've never seen so many people on the sideline. Also, there was recruits. Josiah Trader, CJ from Chaminade was there. They had just played the night before. These kids are big time, ain't they? They had just played that Friday night. They just played that Friday night. They were there, but it just seemed like anybody who gave money, the sideline was full of people. Just a hectic atmosphere, man. And we were ready for it, bro. We were focused. We were ready for it. It wasn't the moment that got us. It definitely wasn't the moment. Maybe some of the drops, I don't know. But it definitely wasn't the moment. KB. I got Jerry in the back. Jerry want to come in and say something.
Oh, I'm still here, bro.
Yeah, okay. Shout out to Coach Kane, $5. He said we have been down for 15 years. Wins will bring the crowd like 2017. Yeah, Miami wins. They're coming. Jerry, you still there?
Oh,
Jerry,
yeah, I'm here, Street. Yeah.
Got something you want to say, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say with the college towns and the atmosphere, like that's the whole town that's sitting in these stands. Like the whole College Station, and like Rich mentioned, some of the alumni come down, and there's just so much to do in the metropolitan area of Miami that there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a pop, right? Like you see the Dolphins attendance skyrocket after they got Tyreek Hill. They added a few pieces. It gave people something to be excited for. So once the Canes give people something to be excited for, like if they get a JoJo and people know he gonna be out there killing it, like the stands, the fans, they gonna come in. It's got to be something to get people excited for. Like A&M, they 8-4 every year, but there's nothing else to do in College Station, so they gonna pack out the house because hey, that's 6 Saturdays every year. I don't got to think about what I'm gonna do. I don't have to make plans. There's football, so Miami, unfortunately, don't got that luxury.
But we got Miami though.
And in all fairness, until Miami gets better and they can start becoming more of a prime time team like they were, I will cut the fans a break. Those noon games in Miami are tough. They really are, because at the end of the day, you feel like you went through a 15-round fight, especially if you tailgated from like 9 o'clock in the morning and it's one of those really hot days. But, I think this week's a 3:30 game, right, for you guys locally. I would hope there's a good crowd, because it just looks bad to recruits. Because, look, these schools like Ohio State, LSU, Bama, Georgia, they can say it. Look, you're going to play in front of big crowds every week. And that is a reality, though. But I think Jerry makes a great point. Living in L.A., even USC, which has a really large alumni base, great tradition, when they're not good, and they weren't good during the last year or so of Clay Helton, they even had some really sparse crowds. And if you look at UCLA, if you looked at some of those pictures of last week, man, it's embarrassing. It looks like an intramural attendance. But when you are in a major metropolitan pro sports city, that entertainment dollar, there's a real battle to get fans out there on a consistent basis if you are not very good.
I think Mario wins. I think he wins and they come. Jerry,
so Steve, do you think that we need to be spending more money, more marketing dollars, money in order to get more folks to the games? Because we are competing against, national events.
Rich, that's a great point. And this is a point that I've made to other people and with the movement that we're trying to do, and everyone's going to be involved. There used to be a time 20 years ago, and Streeter has seen my office and the things that I've kept to this day. There was a time when the Miami athletic department spent money on posters, magnets, pocket schedules, things of that nature, paraphernalia, things that would keep you engaged as a guy that's 3,000 miles away to get one of those pocket schedules or a magnet with Edgerrin James on it or James Jackson. And every year they used to have a slogan like full force football or fast break football or whatever it was. And you'd be like, wow, this is good. I haven't gotten really anything in about a decade, Rich. I don't, and like, you don't see any billboards. I know billboards are kind of passe in the social media era, but they've got to do a better job of actually marketing the program both locally and nationally. It just can't be, hey, Mario, you better win 12 games or no one's going to come. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on
It's a
one
lot
guy.
of pressure.
They put that billboard. I saw a billboard up telling you to go get a tag, go get the Miami Hurricane tag. I talked to him about that when I went in there. I talked to him about marketing and putting more money into trying to capture the city. We always say there's a metropolitan city, so much to do, but we see things take over Miami. We've seen it happen. We've seen things. We think things take over Miami, become part of the fabric of Miami, and we saying it forever and ever and ever. And I think the Hurricanes can be one of them if they push the envelope and put Miami in people's faces. Jerry thinks that Gaddis is, what you say about Gaddis? You think he's trying to put people in the league? What? Go ahead.
Yeah, when I'm talking about his offense, right? Like, I think we saw a lot of success with the spread, TVD with the spread last year with one reads, which in my opinion, you do a lot of pre-snap identification with the spread offense. Like, you're not doing a lot of post-snap reads, reading the field. It's just, hey, I like Rambo with this matchup, so I'm going to go there. What I think Gaddis is doing is he's trying to implement kind of a pro-style offense where if a quarterback can succeed in Josh Gaddis's offense, it shows that they could do full field reads rather. So I think that's what Gaddis is trying to do, and TVD is just transitioning. Like, his whole college career has pretty much been in a spread offense, and he hasn't had to do those things. So I think now he's learning how to kind of be a pro. Like, I think Saturday for TVD was an experience for him where it was against some comparable competition. It wasn't against, Southern Miss or Bethune-Cookman, who has athletes, but they're not on that pro level. They're not more than likely going to be playing on Sundays. So I think it was a lesson for him to learn, hey, I got to actually go through my progressions. I can't say, all right, I like this matchup with Jacolby George, so I'm going to stick with it, even though the safety is right there with him. So that's just what I think. I think it'll help the program long term. Might be some growing pains with TVD, but.
Jerry, I have a question, though, and I agree with everything you're saying, but here's the question, though. Isn't his job to actually just win? I mean, that's part of the problem I think Miami's had. They've always had this NFL youth thing, and I'm like, what are we, a program or an internship? Because
Right.
there's a lot of programs out there that may not have the raw material of Miami, but they make it work. Like Baylor with Art Briles, they ran very much a college system. It did not prepare guys for the pros, but guess what? They won, and they put a lot of points on the board, and they were entertaining. I'm just wondering, like, where do you hit that sweet spot between player development and then actually just winning at this level?
See, I guess it just depends on your expectations for the program, right? Like Baylor doesn't have any national championships. In Waco, Texas, if you win 10 games, they're throwing a party and they're happy. If that's your goal, then by all means run the spread. And I think that's what, Danny Miaz was looking for with Brett Lashley. It was just, hey, I just got to win some games.
Danny Miaz.
I got to put some points on the board. This Enos thing didn't work. Let's just put some points up. But I think Mario wants to win national championships at the University of Miami. And the thing about the spread is when it's athlete on athlete, it's not really going to work because you're just asking your athletes to basically out-athlete the opponent. But when you have this kind of pro style, it has a solution for everything. You're going to have a route in there that's a man beater. You're going to have a route in there that's a check down. You're going to have a cover 3 beater. So I think that's what Gaddis is trying to implement, and it will succeed because Miami's going to get the talent going forward, and you're going to have both, and you're going to win some ball games. But it's just right now when you have a quarterback that's so accustomed to running a spread offense, yeah, there's going to be some growing pains. And I think that's also part of the reason why we're not seeing a lot of tempo. Because you got to know the offense to run tempo, right? You can't just ask them to keep running plays.
That's a good point, bro.
Like, you can't ask them to run.
You got to have some rhythm. You got to have some rhythm to run tempo.
Well, Streeter, I was telling this to Rich when you were off the air. I really believe some of the issues on the outside. Look, they inherited this room. There's a reason why they wanted to go get Jordan Addison or Zay Jones, the kid from Boston College. Some of these issues with this offense will not be solved in terms of explosive playmakers until the offseason when you can hit the portal again and you hope to God some of these kids sign on the dotted line to Miami. That's the reality.
Right.
And that is not on Gaddis.
So 786-405-9499. If you want to get down with IOD Squad, that's scrolling at the top. Or just click the link inside the comment section. It's pinned at the top. IOD Squad Investor Diet. That's what we trade every day and talk NFTs and crypto and all of these things. Or just text 786-405-9499 and say IOD, and we'll send you the link and it'll get you locked in. Y'all want to see what it feel like to be TVD for a play? Check it out. That is crazy. That's wild, bro. This is really loud, bro. Thank God for Jacolby George for a second. If you're just getting in here, man, Jacolby George is out for 6 to 8. Must be probably the season. Broken hand, that's what they're saying. Reported today by Kings County and then followed up by Manny Navarro. Gaddis was talking today about us only playing 6 wide receivers. I'm going to tell you guys this, man. Romello Brinson hasn't forgot how to play wide receiver, bro. I'm sorry. He hasn't forgot how to play wide receiver. He's the same guy who I was telling you guys, Ja'Cory Brooks, Romello Brinson, 1A, 1B. They can say his practice habits are not as good or whatever, but he hasn't forgot how to play wide receiver. And for us to act like we recruited a bunch of 3-stars, which we know teams that have recruited no stars and had efficient offenses. We've seen them.
Yep, we have.
We've seen them. We've known teams that recruited quarterbacks that wasn't highly rated and kicked the ass. Like you just said, Kim, we've seen Washington State do it with anybody at quarterback.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is this: the problem is twofold. It lies in there somewhere, and it's probably a little more complicated. But Romello Brinson
hasn't forgot how to play wide receiver. And I'm gonna leave that there. You put the ball, you get the ball to him, he'll make a play, he'll go get the ball. So for us to be thinking that, man, our wide receivers suck. Rashad Smith may not be a wide receiver yet because he was a running back his entire life. For everybody who didn't know that, became a wide receiver like a junior or sophomore in high school, and you can still see it. He's not a natural wide receiver like a Jacolby George.
It's not polished yet. I think that's the word, polish.
Right. So,
and I think that kind of applies to most of the receivers in the room, as they're not quite polished yet. They're high school polished, maybe, where it doesn't matter if your coach tells you to run a 10-yard in and you run a 9-yard in, or you run 12 yards, but that matters in the college game.
Right.
And so I think that's a little bit of it. I don't think maybe that attention to detail was hammered home as much with previous coaching staffs, as much as I think Gaddis is trying to kind of hammer that home now. So I think that might be part of what's going on with these receivers is they're thinking.
Right.
Like, I think they're thinking now, like, okay, where's my mark? Where's my mark? Where's my break? Like, I think that's kind of what's going on. It's not natural quite yet, but it's still very early in the process.
And
Jerry,
you can't play football like that. You cannot play
Jerry,
football like that.
Roman Kane on OBB Legend, he does a chalk talk and he breaks down plays. And the great example is that last 4th down play. And it looked like just a drop, but Rashard's route was not crisp. He kind of faded away. It made it a tougher catch, which he didn't make. And there's a lot of little things. You're right. That with Xavier Restrepo, he could do that blindfolded. Seriously, in the dark. That's a completion 9 out of 10 times. But, Coach Hayes told me at the halftime of the Bethune-Cookman game, I met him where he was at, and he said, this offense, I get you don't want to show everything, but you've got to run your offense. And if you want to develop chemistry and be in sync, throw a couple of deep shots. Show other coordinators that you're going to have to defend this. And Coach Hayes has been prophetic in this, is that if you want to be good, especially at a new offense, you got to be able to run it at game tempo in live situations. And I hope they actually do that. I want to make this a real throw game against Middle Tennessee State, because we got to get this started, because I'm telling you, UNC can't stop a leaky faucet, but they're good offensively.
They went up top to Keyshawn a few times. Keyshawn didn't get much separation. It went up top early in that game. They went up top to Keyshawn, and it was just like, the cornerback was in his pocket. And I think they did it one other time to Keyshawn. I think
was it on the sideline?
Yeah, it was on the sideline.
I thought he had a step, Streeter, on that one.
One time he did have a step. Right.
Yeah, that's the one where TBD got half flushed out of the pocket. A better throw in that 6 points, guys. That's again, but it's a tough throw. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not a pitch and catch either.
Bro, listen. A couple of those plays were 6 points. That drop by Henry Parrish on 3rd down, that was a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
When it was 3rd and 15 or whatever, and they ran that trap, that lead or whatever, and Rooster got tackled, shoestring tackled.
Yeah.
by that cornerback that hunted us the whole night. Right. And that block, when Latson missed that block on that same cornerback, it was like they had one cornerback covering everything. This dude was everywhere, man. The dude with the dreads with helmet kept coming off. When Latson missed that block, Brashard gets to the outside, he's gone.
And the Royal catch too.
Playing wide receiver here? Is it hard to block a cornerback on those plays? And who anybody here playing wide receiver?
Listen,
it is if you're soft.
I did. If you're soft, it's not hard. Blocking somebody is just technique, but blocking somebody is like rebounding in basketball. It's mostly effort. Getting somebody's way. It's want to get in somebody's way. Like the technique you can teach. Like I was saying when I think one of the linemen was talking about the techniques that they were starting to learn, where they put their hands in the inside, in the inside of both shoulders. And I was like, and I think I was in. I don't know if I was on. I think I was on Unfiltered, and I was like, y'all know that shit works. That's how I used to block in high school. You get in between their shoulders, and you get them past. You can't. They can't go anywhere. So it's want to. You find out how to block. You got to have the will to go out there and block somebody. You not being able to block a corner, especially if you're not a tiny guy, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? That's all on you.
Well, he actually hit the guy. He hit the guy, and the guy still made the tackle.
Well, he made him look like a blocking sled. He just pushed him back. I mean, here's
Right.
the thing. And Streeter, you were off the air when I made this point to Rich. That's a play in the film room. If you're Gaddis, you replay that 50 times on loop and you embarrass those guys. That's what coaching is. You don't say, hey, guys, next time, can you make a better? No, you get in front of the whole team, and this is where Mario, I actually think this may have. I would say, guys, there's 5 plays I want to highlight here, and you embarrass those guys. That's what coaching is. I'm sorry. You get fed, you get housed, you're on scholarship. There's an expectation you're going to help out your teammate. Look,
That's it.
I mean, honestly, Michael Irvin used to say, I don't get paid to block. To catch the football. That's fun. But I do all the little things for Emmitt Smith blocking downfield because that's part of my job as a teammate. And I looked at that play and I'm like, that was soft. That's a play. I'm just telling you, I'd have on loop and I said, God, look at these guys. Man, you guys are soft. That's terrible.
Hey, but then
I may not want to play you anymore.
But look, he's gonna stand up and be like, hey, well, you need to show Mallory shit. Don't just show mine.
Oh, well, no, here's the thing with Mallory. We don't have enough time. You only have a few hours in the day. Just kidding. He made some plays, but yeah, Mallory. I've talked about Mallory's blocking or lack thereof. Jeez.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people was calling for Thad. Let me let y'all in on a secret with Thad, right? A lot of people see Thad and he's a big body and he's like, okay, lightning and thunder, peanut butter and jelly, whatever y'all be want to call the running backs and stuff, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me let you in on a secret with Thad. Thad is a big back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Thad isn't Pooh Bear from Florida State back in the 90s. He's not a bruising big back. He reminds me of like Eddie George. He's hard to bring down, but he doesn't punish anybody. That's not how he. And it's not a knock. I'm telling you, that's not the type of back he is. I've heard his high school coach tell me this numerous times.
Like a Brandon Jacobs. Was it Brandon Jacobs? Brandon Jacobs. He used to run like Jacobs. That. Yeah,
right.
I got you.
He's a dancing bear. He's got good feet, but he's not necessarily a bruiser because there is a difference. Right.
It's a lot of big backs who are not like Pooh Bear and Earl Can. I mean, you just, it's hard to be a back like that nowadays. It's real tough.
But when you don't have the speed, that's probably what you got to bring to the game. When you don't have that speed, you need to bring that power to the game, and that's what he has to. That's something he's going to have to put in his game.
See, he's hard to bring down. Now, if you feed, I've been telling y'all this since he was a freshman. If you feed that, right, and you start feeding him, he starts getting fired up. He turns like into a battering ram. Like he turns.
Yes, he does.
But I don't know if we'll ever see that, you know what I'm saying, or if we get to that point the way football is done now. But if you feed that and you feed him, he starts to run harder and harder. But he's not this bruising big back that you put in on fourth down. I don't know. Am I making sense? Like,
yeah, you're making a lot of sense because we saw it in his junior and senior year of high school where he was. I mean, every time he got over 15 carries, it was just like this ball of steam just kept rolling.
Right. And it's like he's hard to bring down, really, really strong, but he's not finna lower his helmet. He's not finna hurt the linebacker. He's not finna that's not really what he is. So do you still bring him in on fourth down, fellas? I mean, on third down at the goal line, do you still bring him in?
Yeah, you still do. Because
nah,
it's better than TBD. Think about this.
It's better than TBD having the ball, guys.
Thank you, because it's just like if you have a 5'9" running back, they're really great. Jalen Knighton, right? 5'9" running back. It's a 3rd and 2. You need 2 yards. Yes, this guy can run a 4.3, but he's still 5'9". He's still 185 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a guy who is 6 feet 6'1", they're gonna have a longer reach. They're going to be a lot heavier. In Thad's case, he's 240 plus pounds. Even if the guy just leans the pile forward, you have a better chance at getting 2 yards.
Right.
But is he gonna lean the pile forward? Is the question.
He does.
Well, yeah, he does it. That's one thing. He may not be a power back, but he goes forward. Yeah, he's going
fall forward every time.
Listen, I love Don comment right here, dog. Don said Gaddis has 6 wide receivers. They all 4 stars. What's the problem?
I
mean, honestly, like when I see that, I think the problem is there's no discipline. Like, there's no way to discipline your receivers. Like, if somebody drops, like we talked about last year, people would make a mistake and they would stay in the game, and we'd be like, why are they in the game? Like, they need to hit the bench. When you only got 6 scholarship receivers, they gotta go back in the game. Like they miss a block.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. They don't have to. No, you don't, because Gaddis has run more than fucking 2 tight ends at the same time. If that's what I have to do to make sure, we got 4 capable tight ends. That's what I have to do. Actually, we got 5 serviceable ones, because Mamorelli's gonna block. We got Arroyo, we got Mallory and Skinner and Bradley. Like, we got tight ends. If that's what we have to do, that's what I have to do. And you still got fine. You got 6 scholarships. Give me the guys that's not on scholarship. What's the boy named Johnson? Bring him in. I don't care. Like, I have to discipline you. Like, I can't just sit there and let you give me lackluster effort. Michael Redding dropped 4 or 5 passes. I don't care how many times you got hit. That's not acceptable. We had 7 drops, and I think Redding accounted for like 4 of them. That's not acceptable. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What about motivating them though? Like, it don't always have to be discipline. Like, I've seen it's 6 of them. Like what about them banding together and saying, "Listen, bro, let's go out here and get this money." Like what? It doesn't always have to be negative reinforcement. You know what I'm saying?
For that to happen, you gotta have a clear-cut leader.
Huh? Yeah.
For that to happen, you gotta have a clear-cut leader in the room. You gotta have a guy who is not only, that vocal leader, but also that leader on the field. And I don't know if Restrepo was a vocal leader, right? Mm-hmm. But you got to have somebody that's like a Michael Irvin that's gonna say, "Man, you know what? You play like trash, bro. Like, we gonna stay out here and do these jugs."
I don't know who that is.
You got to have that.
I think Keyshawn is a quiet guy. I don't think Romello care about leading anybody. I don't know who that will be. Like, Latson is very laid back. I heard him say 3 words his whole life.
It's supposed to be Mallory, honestly. And I'm not saying it's just a rag on him, but dude, you are the catching core. You are the senior. You are the guy, bro. It should be you. But again, I guess some things you can't force if you don't have the personality. But it should that's who it should be.
Somebody say Brandon Ennis. Brandon Ennis gets ejected into this locker room somehow, some way. He's leading the whole team, bro. Cut from a different cloth. They put him at safety the other night, man, and he hit Bullet in the first quarter, man. And Bullet, if you don't know, Davion Gall, Seminars running back, was like a bully. The bully. He's like the bully his whole life. He hasn't grown the last 2 years, but he runs hard. He's a bruiser. Brandon Ennis hit him so hard, like he had no regard for his body. Like, he's not committed to Ohio State. Brandon Ennis is just a football player. Fast, slow. Yeah. And yes, if you can get him in that room, he's definitely a leader. And that's one of the intangibles I love about him. He's going to lead by example. He's going to make people around him better. So yeah, no, I think it is Restrepo when he's not hurt though. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we have a leader at all? Because I'm looking for that guy, and it's like, TVD sometimes he's a quiet dude. I don't see it, but we don't have that whole De'Aaron King Harlan story. We don't have KJ Osborne. No. Do we have anybody?
Well, on offense, on offense.
Yeah. Period. Yeah. Period.
Oh no, we got Cam Kitchens and James and Cam Kitchens.
No. Offensively, no. I'm sorry. Oh. I was saying period. Offensively, just the whole offensive squad. Running back, something.
I always thought Chaney would be that dude. Honestly,
Chaney.
I thought he would be, but he's had his setbacks, so he's had to focus on himself and getting himself on the field. But that dude, he's always bled orange and green. Like,
they all look up to TVD.
Somebody.
They all point at TVD. They look up to TVD.
Somebody in the pros say, man, you can't lead from the training table. So that's the problem with Chaney. You can't lead on the training table.
Exactly. See, my thing with TVD is a leader is he's just, I don't know. I like my quarterbacks cool, calm, and collected. Like, you can't tell whether they had a 100-yard game with 3 picks or 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like that's one thing I always appreciated about Trevor Lawrence is he was always so calm with it. TVD, he seems like he needs to be riled up or backed that into a corner to really like get the best out of him. And I don't know how y'all feel about that, but that's always something that was a little about TVD to me. Like he's always got to prove somebody wrong, you know?
I grew up watching Dan Marino, so I want my quarterback cussing people out, left and right. Anytime somebody get past you, if your defensive end slap me on the ass, I'm cussing you out. That's Dan Marino. That's what I like personally.
All right,
Dan Marino was a psycho, man.
Here's a doomsday scenario for you guys on Saturday, which I hope does not happen. Let's say in the middle of the second quarter, it's a 10-7 game. Our offense is struggling. Do we bring in Jake Garcia?
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
No. This is your quarterback. You gotta let this. No, you gotta let this go. If he ain't costing you game, no, you don't start that shit.
Damn, Kyle, you almost sounded like Terrell Owens.
That's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
No, but seriously, it's nothing against Jake, but y'all know the quarterback, the handling of a quarterback is a sensitive thing.
It is different, Kyle. I'm just busting your balls a little bit. That's all.
Oh no, you're good.
That's my quarterback. It's not fair. It's not fair.
I'm gonna shed a tear, take a picture, and put it on Twitter because y'all ain't doing that to my quarterback.
Josh gonna
One second, Rich. 1 second. I got 2 people just became members. Shout out to Lewis Johnson, man, just became a member. And shout out to, I missed this one. I had to look to the other page. FTW became a member again. And shout out to our neighborhood sponsor, Sean Rounds, man. Shout out to Sean Rounds with the 1999. He don't even say nothing, man. He just throw money, man, like the club, like the strip club, man. He don't even say anything anymore. He just throw money, man. Shout out to Sean Rounds, man, and shout out to Sean Rounds and a couple of y'all dudes, man, that assisted in getting Caneville, Footballville to Texas with the last minute credentialing that we got. We had like 3 days to get plane tickets and hotels and figure out how you get from Houston to Austin. Had to figure out how to smuggle mace or something on the plane so I can be safe in Texas. Shout out to all y'all that helped me get there, dog. Listen, Rich, do you sit TVD down and try out Garcia, but the third game of the season, if he struggles?
I don't think you sit him down, but I think you start to incorporate packages for Garcia, like because you're doing several different things here. You're trying to get other guys to have you're trying to get experience for guys who are in your program. Because I tell you what, man, the plan was for TVD to have a great year once again this year and for him to be off into the draft. What happens if he comes back next year?
Uh-oh.
Because if he come back next year, if I'm Garcia, I'm like, the gloves is off, man. You're going to have to beat me out for it.
Right.
Yeah, Rich, I'm with you. This is all or nothing for TVD. Leave here as a first-round draft choice that's wearing a nice suit with holding up that jersey with Roger Goodell, or be in a quarterback battle.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I think if you go to Jake at any point this season, you punt in the next year. Like, I don't know how you can still say that this is a salvageable season if you're benching the quarterback that going into the season you planned on having as your starter for the whole year. So I think that's just my opinion. Like, if you put Jake in, you basically punt in the next year.
I don't know if I agree with that part, but I agree with what Kim is saying. Like, this is all or nothing for you. Either you leave here as a first round pick, or your job is
Because I mean, let's say Jake struggles, right? Let's say Jake struggles. He comes in. We haven't seen Jake take first team reps. We've seen him in spring games and garbage time, but we haven't seen him take first team reps. So let's say that he struggles. Are we going to pull Nkosi Perry with Malik Rozier and just keep kind of like flip flopping throughout the season, or?
No, now if that happens, I got to pull Gaddis to the side because something ain't fucking right. I got to get Gaddis and Ponce in the room, and something got to happen.
That's not your coordinator. That's not your
No.
I mean, did Gaddis do it at Michigan?
I mean,
They
even
didn't
if he
have
did do
they
it at
didn't have
Michigan,
talent
that's
at
just not how you
Michigan.
run a football team.
Yeah, his first year they had Joe
Right.
Milton who couldn't play,
Yeah.
and then they kind of rotated quarterbacks last year, and now JJ McCarthy is actually the full-time starter. The problem is that nowadays the transfer portal is such a thing. This becomes a game of politics just as much as it is sport and personnel. Jake Garcia did not come to call. Look, I think he's been patient. I think he wanted to stay in Miami after his last couple of years in high school was just so muddled. But there comes a point that, hey, he says, I've got NFL aspirations too.
I agree. And that's why it's like, yo, TVD, if you don't get it right this year, TVD might either have to hit the transfer portal or, you're just going to have to find your way in the draft.
And then what do you do with Ja'Cory?
That's a great question.
I think that gives something to Ja'Cory. Ja'Cory look and see, okay, there's a possibility for me because I came here with this TVD guy, and now Jake is in, and shit, I'm behind Jake. All I got to do is wait for him to slip or wait for him to leave. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but there's a guy by the name of Jaden Rashada who I think has natural arm talent. I think he's going to be very good, guys.
But wherever he goes, hey, look, don't, not just Rashada. What's the other quarterback? I really fucking like him. What's the other quarterback we got coming in?
Oh, Emory Williams. Emory.
Yes, I really like Emory. But wherever Ja'Cory goes is going to be that type of competition, unless he just goes down a level. So it is what it is. You got to be ready to compete.
See, the way I see it is this probably will be TVD's last year here.
Yeah.
Whether he goes first round or if he struggles, he probably will, try to transfer to a spread type offense. Maybe he goes to SMU. And then, I don't know, it just seems like Ja'Cory needs some more time. So I can see Jake being the one and done next year. And then, Ja'Cory and Jaden and Emory just battle it out once Jake leaves. But either way, these are good problems to have. Like we're not talking about some walk-ons that might have to, take over if one of our quarterbacks slips up. These are all blue chips or, in Ja'Cory's case, a top-notch athlete. So these are good problems to have.
They really are. And the one thing that you want to do is you always want to manage them properly because, like Clemson, for instance, Clemson is kind of in the state that they're in right now because they didn't manage. They got all these 5-star, 4-star quarterbacks, and not one of them are left except Mr. Uiagalelei, who's
who may not
if
start
any
by
of those
November.
Say it again.
He may not start by November.
Right. If any one of those other quarterbacks like Pumachan or the Hunter Johnsons was still at Clemson, he would not be starting right now. But they kind of, whatever politics that they were trying to play, they just didn't play them correctly.
And that's
all those quarterbacks left.
And that's the thing about Clemson with DJ is they gave him a whole season to struggle. They won 10 games and he struggled, but they gave him a whole season to struggle. So now at any time they can go to Cade. They can say, "Hey, we gave you a season. It's not looking right. We got to go to the young guy." I don't know if you can just pull Tyler. I don't know if you can just pull Tyler without giving him a full season.
I don't know if this is a perfect comparison because obviously the upside with TVD is much higher, but wasn't it Kelly Bryant, the starting quarterback at the beginning of 2018 for Clemson? And it was pretty evident that Trevor Lawrence is really special. Yeah. And after the third game, Dabo said, "I cannot beat Alabama with Bryant, but I have a shot with Trevor Lawrence." I mean, these are tough decisions. That's why Mario gets paid the big bucks, and that's why we talk about it.
You got to remember, Kelly Bryant won an ACC championship the year before.
Went to the playoffs.
Yeah. Right. When I was at Clemson, there was a quarterback there that used to play for the Bills that was a coach at Clemson. You know who it is, Rich? JP Lossman, I think, or Ron. I think it was JP Lossman.
JP Lawson.
I think so.
Yeah, he went to Tulane, actually, though.
He was at Clemson at one point, right? I think he was at Clemson at one point.
You mean for his college career? No, he
for
played
coaching.
at UCLA.
No, coaching. Once he left,
he played at Tulane. I know that.
Right. What coaching? I was there, and yeah, it's okay. I'm looking at it. He was a Clemson coach, 2017, 2019. When I went there, right? When I went there, he was talking, and he was talking about when they took Kelly Bryant out. And I was like, yeah, man, I got a lot of flack from that. He looked at me and he said, we knew who Sunshine was. He was like, we knew who Trevor Lawrence was, and you see nobody else said a thing about it after a few games. Mm-hmm. He said he was unbelievable. Sort of like the Tua thing at Alabama when they put him in the national championship, and that was our first time seeing Tua. They had seen Tua all year long in practice. They knew who he was. Yep.
Same thing with Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence at age 15, you could tell was going to the NFL. They were doing documentaries on him. He was part of that Netflix series. Like you just knew that kid was Roy Hobbs. He was the natural. That right arm of his is the Wonder Boy.
And Jaron Williams beat him in a 7-on-7 game.
Jaron
took him out at the old Nike camp. Took him out. But no, he said, Losman said they knew exactly who he was, and you wasn't keeping him off the field. Let's watch the train wreck happen. Either we're gonna let him leave, or somebody got to get executed.
Yeah, it was the same thing that happened with what's his name, the guy who played in the same state as Trevor Lawrence and actually beat Trevor Lawrence. He's the quarterback for Chicago. I forget his name. Off the
Justin
top of my head.
Fields.
Justin Fields. He beat Trevor Lawrence in high school, and Georgia was, I don't know what they were thinking that he was going to sit, but that's why he had to transfer. He got out of there.
Yeah, they sat him behind Jake Fromm, who's kind of like a poor man's Ken Dorsey.
Right.
And that was real dicey because, I mean, Justin Fields at Georgia, I mean, again, you'd have to run the right system because Ryan Day can make first-round quarterbacks out of anybody, it seems like. That was a real interesting situation because Justin Fields only stayed there, one season, right? Got a little mop-up duty, then he took off to Columbus.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep. Pulled the fake racist, somebody called me a knuckle, and got out of there.
Got that immediate eligibility.
The fake. Listen, bro, I've talked to enough players, bro. Listen, that's just how they get out of it. That's just how they get out of there.
Hey, fellas, I got a question for you. Speaking of quarterbacks, this is hot take central, but this is what I do. That's why I make the big bucks. How about Stetson Bennett being a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate?
Gosh.
No.
Oh, my God.
Guys, he's putting up decent numbers. That's a dominant team. You don't think he can Gino Torretta his way to a Heisman?
Man, I tell you what, he reminds me of what TVD looked like last year. He's really confident with that offense.
Exactly.
There's just too much talent around him.
I'm not saying he's a number one pick. He may not even be an NFL guy. He'll probably be like a camp arm. But guys, that's a machine up there.
It is.
And last year he actually had like 31 touchdowns. I looked at his stats. If you looked at his stats last year and you didn't know that he was a walk-on playing his 8th year of college football, you'd be like, that guy was pretty good if you didn't know his name. Seriously, I actually think he's going to get invited to New York. That team is a machine. They are by far the best team in college football right now.
See, I agree, but I think whether it's fair or not, we've just kind of attributed his success to his supporting cast. So I don't know if he'll be able to kind of get that Heisman level recognition being in the role that he's in.
Yeah. But again, he could Gino Torretta his way to a Heisman, guys. Because look, was Gino Torretta, I love Gino. Right. Was he really better than Marshall Faulk or Garrison Hurst that year? No, but he was at Miami. We were the premier program back then.
Warren Sapp said he tell Gino all the time he need to give Marshall Faulk his Heisman. He said he tell him all the time. Look, Kim, did you write this?
Write what? I write a lot of stuff.
Stetson Bennett is becoming Heisman voters' worst nightmare.
No, I didn't write that, but it's the truth though. I kind of thought that. Like I looked at him against Oregon and I watched some clips. He's actually making plays. Look, do they make it easy on him with a strong running game, bubble screens? They have great tight ends. but they're actually letting him just play quarterback. They've taken some of the shackles off. If you go back to the national title game, right? He had that terrible fumble. Alabama takes the lead, and I'm thinking, oh my God, Kirby better do something. And I give their coordinator credit. I forgot his name, but they said, okay, Stetson, you're going to play quarterback. They threw a deep in cut. They went deep. They actually just said, you know what, Stetson, you're going to make us a national championship winner or you're going to blow the game. And he came through. He's playing with a lot of confidence, believe it or not.
Yeah, and it's surprising because he beat out some really, really highly rated recruits to be the quarterback at Georgia.
Right, like JT Daniels, a kid that's out of LA here, who actually was starting at USC his freshman year after he left Mater Dei a year early. The kid is a battler. I've got to give him some credit.
Isn't that kind of like that's kind of like what happened to like Tom Brady without the offensive talent? It was the defensive talent when he got there, but Brady wasn't doing shit but just game managing, being part of the game, whatever. But then it was like, fuck it, we won with him. Let's let him grow. And remember, that's because Drew Bledsoe was hurt, and they let Brady grow, and he just became confident, and he just became Tom Brady. No, I'm not comparing that guy to Brady, saying he's gonna be at a Brady. I'm not saying no shit like that at all. But I'm just saying that's very similar. You let a guy get some confidence, damn the talent around him, whether it's good or bad, you let him get his confidence and grow. Some guys can become good players.
Everybody take a moment and look at Mitchell Agudier.
Damn.
God damn. Big motherfucker.
Andrew Feld's doing a hell of a job. I need that bicep program.
Listen, man, we need all our players to look like this, bro. When all our
what he
players
was
look
doing,
like
street, what he was skateboarding or some shit? What he used to do?
Yeah, and almost died.
A big ass fucking skateboarder. God damn.
Failed to hit his head and almost died when he was 9 years old. That's a big guy.
He's playing the wrong sport.
That was God. That was God telling him, bro, you too big to be on that skateboard. Get off the skateboard.
Right.
Yeah, but we need all our dudes to look like this, man. So listen, bro, we about to get up out of here. Before we get up out of here, man, I'm gonna ask each one of y'all, bro. A lot going on in our room, man. People getting injured. We going out dominating in the stat book and can't score a touchdown. We prepared for Texas A&M all summer long. The game is gone, and nobody been thinking about Middle Tennessee. Cal, trap game, yes or no?
No, not with this staff. We ain't look good enough.
They just pulled the stick out on Eddie George in Tennessee State, beat him to death.
Okay, you had me till you said state. They didn't beat Hendon Hooker, bro. Hendon Hooker is not on Tennessee State.
49-6. They opened the can up on Eddie George. Cal, trap game, yes or no?
No, I'm gonna say no.
I mean, Rich, trap game, yes or no?
No, we're just too dominant in the trenches. It's going to be hard for them. I know they have that up-tempo offense, but it's going to be hard for them to get on the field.
What you think, Kim?
I think this is a game of culture. If we have the right culture, which I think we do, we systematically beat them up physically, wear them down. Again, this is one of those games. I think it's how we win and how we approach it offensively. Look, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to cover the spread, but I don't think it can be a trap game, but I think the culture has changed. At least that's what I'd like to think.
So between Middle Tennessee, between Bethune and who did we play the second game? Frank Gordon.
Southern Miss.
Where does Middle Tennessee land in between those two teams?
In between them.
In the middle.
They're the second best or worst. Right out of those three, they're the sandwich.
Yeah.
They're the sandwich. What you think, Jerry?
Yeah, I think slow start, but they'll get it together by halftime.
Yeah, I think one thing I've realized is that us being able to get the offensive line and run the ball is the foundation of what you do. And I've been saying this from game one that, bro, it seems like we are turning into a program. Like, even when we're looking bad, right? We're executing, we're getting yards, and it turns into what it's supposed to be. When I looked at those stats after the game the other day, it wasn't a moral victory, but it was confusing with the 27 first downs and us almost two backs with 80 yards apiece. But it just confirmed what I believe, man. I believe the change has happened up top. It has happened up top with Mario and putting money in the program, and I just think it's just a matter of time of shaking off the rust of 15 years of losing and learning how to win again. Which, yeah, I'm saying that about the University of Miami. You got to learn how to win again, bro.
Hey, Streeter, you mentioned the 27 first downs. Some statistician on Twitter put up a tweet. Miami's the first team since the year 2000 to have 27 first downs and no touchdowns. So we saw a record. You could see it now, Streeter. You saw a record-setting performance. You got to witness
what. But listen, before we get out of here, comment section, everybody that's in here on this panel, what does it mean? What does it mean that you get 27 first downs, your opponent gets 18? What does it mean?
I think it means a couple things. Number one, we don't have explosive playmakers on the outside. We're going to be or are a methodical offense, and also the red zone was the dead zone, and I think that has to be a point of emphasis moving forward, cleaning that up, finding ways to get the ball through the goal line.
Anybody else got something?
Also, yeah, I was gonna say that I think it's a new offense that everyone's still learning, so we don't have the gotta have it plays. Every offense has about 5 or 6 plays, depending on the down and distance, that's going to get you to where you need to be. And we just don't have those gotta have it plays yet. So it's going to be hard to kind of punch the ball into the end zone.
Anything else?
Yeah, I would say with the red zone plays, we could talk about how much improved we are when it comes to the trenches. But if our identity is running the ball and we get to the red zone and we cannot run the ball,
right?
Is it really our identity?
Yeah.
So I think there's still some questions that we gotta be realistic about in answering, being like,
yeah, Rich, that's a great point, because let's face it, there's a lot of like mediocre offenses and quarterbacks that can move the ball inside the 20s and amass stats and yardage. The elite offenses score touchdowns. That's what they do.
Right.
Wasn't Lashley also in the red zone?
One year we struggled. The next year we did much better.
Which one of our coordinators was really good in the? Which one of our coordinators was really good in the red zone?
How many years we need to go back?
We were creative.
When Larry Coker had his Pro Bowl team with 10 All-Pros, that's the last time I think we were good.
But listen, I remember Lashley getting really creative in the red zone.
It wasn't. Maybe he did, but it wasn't. Maybe he did, but no, not consistently. I don't recall.
And we wasn't running the ball, but I remember Lashley being really creative in the red zone and us getting in that getting in that end zone. What does good red zone teams do well, Kyle?
What do they do well? They run the ball. They punch that shit in.
They execute.
Yeah, they are precise. They run the ball.
Well, we could run the ball.
I don't care.
It has to be more.
I kept waiting for plays in the red zone, specifically inside the 10 for either Arroyo or Mallory. Right. Didn't see a single one. That was disappointing.
And see that, right? Things like that. Now you add, some fades. Can we get Melo on a fade? Can we bring in what you got, Kobe Young over here? Bring him in and try him out on the fade. Like, these are things you probably should have been doing against Bethune and whatchamacallit. You try that. Where's your fade route? Like, something.
Luther Campbell said something that was really interesting yesterday about calling plays, and it was something to the degree of. Let me see. I think I have it right here. Everyone thinks it's easy to call plays because they see 11 people on the field. When you start coaching, you will realize that the personnel can only understand and do certain things. You call plays based on what your personnel can do. I think Gaddis sees limitations from everybody. Wide receivers, quarterbacks. That's why we're not getting these throws. We got Arroyo and Mallory, and he ran the RPO with Tyler Van Dyke. He's not crazy. I sit in front of him and I listen to him talk. Very intelligent guy. Very intelligent guy.
It seems like, honestly, the things that I noticed that didn't work was anytime that TVD had to wind his arm up and throw to the hashes or throw like that bubble screen, because we're not blocking the way that we should. Those screens don't work. The throws that we were throwing to what's his name last year, Rambo last year, those aren't working because we're not blocking.
Rich, when
The
it comes to
plays
the
that
bubbles,
are
yeah. Sorry, Rich.
plays, I was just going to mention the ones that are working is just like you mentioned that seam route. It seems like we could really run that out of the slot or run that with like a inline tight end. And maybe we do a little bit more of that. But you're putting the ball in harm's way, of course. But maybe we do a little bit more of that and mix that up with the run.
Rich, you mentioned the bubbles. Here's the thing about Tyler Van Dyke. He has a cannon for an arm, but he has an elongated release. The ball comes out too slow. One thing I like about Jake Garcia, and I've said this, he has by far our quickest release. That ball gets out of there. I don't think he has the natural, pure arm strength of TBD to drive the ball down the field. But in terms of getting that ball out quickly on like the bubble screens and stuff of that nature, I think it's far more effective with Jake.
Right. I agree, and that's why even like I see some folks talking about the rub routes. You're right about that windup. If you're a windup type quarterback like TVD is, if you do a rub route, everybody's going to read it because you're a second off.
And a good corner can break on it. And the one thing, and we talked about this earlier, Rich, if you're going to be late on your throws, you really can't have a windup. You can't look like Hideo Nomo, if you remember that guy.
the pitcher?
Yeah, the Japanese pitcher. He had that funny-looking delivery. And that's what I used to call Frank Costa, who had the slowest release I've ever seen in Miami. That thing looked like one of those pitching machines,
Well, all right, man.
But Streeter,
well, go ahead. What's up?
No, I was just gonna say real quick. You remember the receiver we had, Langham, right? What do we know Langham for? Just going up and getting them touchdowns, going up and getting that ball. But how do you know he can do it if you don't try a guy? We know Young can high point the ball, and I'm not saying he's the answer. This is the answer, but how do you know if you don't try these things? That's the issue I have. There's a lack of aggression. I don't know if y'all talked about that too earlier. There was a lack of aggression that I did not like. That really bothered me. Closing out the fourth quarter, closing out halftime, there was a strong lack of aggression I didn't like. So it's some shit you got to get out there and try. Going for settling for field goals. One of those field goals you should have said, "Fuck this, we gonna score." So
Kyle, as a guy that loves crystal ball, I'm his biggest fan. I still, and you talk to Oregon fans and people that have covered them, the two things that's a small concern is game management and offensive system. Those are the two things. And again, you can get better at it, but I agree with you, Kyle. There are in certain situations, I'm not saying we run a hurry up, but you had to go faster tempo as the clock wound down in the halves. There's no doubt about that.
We gave Lashley a year and a half to get it together. Right?
Oh yeah, most def. We just critiquing the game. I'm not now. Y'all with this whole people that's out there talking about benching TVD and firing Gaddis. Y'all get the fuck out of here with that shit.
That's Kyle's quarterback. Y'all leave him. That's his quarterback. Y'all leave him alone.
Yeah. Gave him a year and a half. Lashley first year was like, right?
Well, he didn't have spring practice though. And that was the COVID season.
Well, that was the COVID season.
And he's not getting that excuse, Kim, because everybody that we played was ready for us, and they had the same amount of time. I don't like that.
But Kyle, he was installing a new system, and I will say this about Lashley with his system: for 20 years, Miami was the last family on the block with the VCR. Like they were still going to Blockbuster Video on Friday nights. At least with Lashley, we got like the first version of Netflix. I mean, he did modernize our offense. I give Lashley credit for that.
I agree.
All right, man. Let's get up out of here. Anything y'all want to say before y'all get up out of here?
I'm good.
I'm good.
No, we good.
All right, man.
Hey, I just want to say,
man. What's up?
no, we good. Hey, Nah, I was just gonna say, Jerry, man, that was some good analysis he did earlier, man, because I didn't think of it like that, but that was pretty dope.
Agreed.
All right, bro.
Likewise.
Appreciate
All right,
y'all.
fellas.
Jerry just jumped out here. All right, Kim, man. Talk to you later.
All right, everyone have a good night. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good night.
All right, man. 786-405-9499. If y'all want to get down with IOD Squad, it's 786-405-9499. Patience, dog. Rome wasn't built in a day. That's what I gotta say to a lot of that. We saw a team go in there and in the environment. First is a Texas mediocre Texas A&M team. That Texas A&M team wasn't that good, but they have some guys. You know what I'm saying? We saw a team go in there, win on paper, but couldn't win. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know how to win. Patience, man. Patience with Gaddis, patience with TVD. Let it play out. Listen, man, 786-405. You want to get down, just send us a text, say IOD Squad, put you in there. If you want to become a member, the ones who was trying to comment and couldn't comment because we had all the members in here. We got so many members now. We can just let members come in here and comment. It'd be so hard to follow it anyway. So if you want to become a member, just click the join button right there next to the subscribe, or it's inside the description also, man. Support what we're doing, bro. Support what we're doing, man. Help us move this thing forward, grow this thing. Listen, don't put off tomorrow something you can do today. The rest of your life could be seconds away. I'm D and I'm out of here.